Okay, this marks the third iteration of Recovery Go and final sprint. Okay, just a reminder of what Recovery Go is a problem statement. The current recovery and rehabilitation solutions lack personalization and continuous support. Patients often face fragmented guidance, relying on paper plans or irregular clinic visits. Lack of real-time progress tracking makes it hard to adjust recovery plans dynamically. Limited communications and feedback between patients and healthcare providers slow improvement. Okay, this is our tech stack. Node.js, Expo SDK with React Native. We also use Firebase for storage and authentication for users. Expo command line interface via npx expo. Git was used for source control, and OpenAI was used for AI generated plans. Achievements of Sprint 3. As a user, I wanted to uh, generate recovery plans based on my inputs. This was functional, almost functional the previous sprint, but lacked the generation aspect because of missing API keys. For the next 2 points, the second point mostly focuses on the dashboard aspect of the daily routine. The third bullet deals with the whole tracking the plans and as well as the aspects contributing to the progress screen. This is my burn down chart for the sprint. I had a slower start than I expected because I was trying to avoid paying for the API keys, but unfortunately I couldn't avoid that. So I ended up paying by October 29th. Um, Eventually, the first two things I completed were the generated plans and daily routines. It took me a bit longer than expected to keep track of this and adding tracking features for and storing the info in Firebase. Okay. Key challenges faced during the sprint. Scope creep and sequencing, more or less the email invitations between doctors and patients, logic of keeping track of daily logs and tracking the planet as a whole, and the dashboard concurrently, because the dashboard for doctor users and patient users are differ. AI features blocked, missing API keys, restricting the JSON script being fed to ChatGPT to store its Firestore collections. I noticed that it would bug out because the settings I had for the initial JSON script was different compared to the ones I had for the routine builder itself. Integration drift, mixed patterns from multiple AI code tools led to inconsistency, components, and brittle code. I noticed I made a mistake of saying routines and plans, which led to confusion. Issues with tracking daily logs and plans. I wasn't fully sure how to implement this, so it took longer than I wanted. I relied more on AI helping me, giving an idea of what I should do. I should have Googled a template that may have pre-existed for a daily log or tracking. Okay, summary of issues to address for the future. I noticed I still haven't fixed the cross-platforming issues with the Google sign-in. Using it on web works fine, but on Android there's issues. I need to use Expo's version of the authentication. I also noticed stale data after writing. So when you ever edit a new plan or create a new plan, it doesn't appear immediately in your dashboard or in your library. You have to log out, log back in. I believe it's because I don't have Firestore like reading and updating in real time. I also need to update Firestore rules because I noticed I don't have any protections for my Firebase. Buggy persistent with async storage. I notice every time I log out and log back into an account, it may default to a user, such as a athlete. I don't know why it does that yet. I'm assuming I have a default setting for async storage and reduce repeated code for UI components. AI tool usage reflection. I use ChatGPT, Codex models. I used it for debugging architect guidance, Firebase and Expo patterns, drafting UI components, and AI routine schema for the generative AI. How I ended up using them, and I used it more or less specifically to specify and clear up some native and Expo differences, such as the difference between web and native. I also used it to help me set up Firebase for APIs such as the OpenAI when I had to transfer that information to the Firebase collection I set up for it. Okay, so for strengths and limitations, I noticed they did help me cut down on reducing UI interface and providing the skeletal structures of the daily tracking. It did help learn new Expo UI features, such as a pop out for when just clicking a button. I added for the invitation, so when users see an invite, they click on this little button, and that displays this little pop out. It uses model, I believe. And some limitations I had faced were cohesion drift, mixed outputs from different tools, created style inconsistencies and extra bugs, such as, I mentioned earlier, routines and plans. Those were called a little differently. The context gaps, tools like the project context leading to brittle snippets of code. I did kind of deal with this by using just one languages and integrating with the project, validating and refining. To validate, I ended up running it both on my phone and web to see if there was any platform issues. I just still discovered the issue of signing in with Google on Android. Source of the truth, cross-checking with the official Expo and Firebase docs helped me deal with any issues I had facing OpenAI, using its API and the API keys. I also did set up an EV file and environment file just to hide my API keys, and I noticed they replaced bad suggestions or I guess bad code on my end, uh, and so forth. Okay, on to the demo. Okay, on to the demo aspect. So from here, I ended up creating a test account for doctors. First, I'll be demonstrating the generative AI plans. This is an example of an issue I've been facing. It's been persistent on sending me to a patient's route. I assumed I fixed this issue, but it turns out I haven't. As it loads. Okay, this is the dashboard for a doctor user. From here, I ended up adding buttons, so it's a quick actions to the separate screens, invite patients, generate plans, create new plans. So if you click the first button, it takes you to the list of patients. These are actual patients I already registered with the invitations. From back to the dashboard, you can also click invitation. This is how it appears when you click it. This works for both buttons and the patients page as well. It goes through checking if the email is valid. But for now, I'll demonstrate the generative AI plans. This is an example of a display. I do plan eventually creating auto-generated plans on its own, but that's a task for a later day. So from here, you create custom plans. Let's say instead of focus area or injury being ankle or no, elbow, mobility aspect. Here, let's set the duration for 2 weeks and 10 exercises. You can toggle the button if you want public, private, hard, easy. Um, the visibility I may remove in the future, but here we go. Click generate. I noticed that the longest it would took would be 20 seconds, but on average it just finished within that time frame. There you go. Elbow mobility recovery routine. 2 weeks, 10 exercises. Use this plan. Shouldn't really do much for a doctor account. Okay, now let's go about assigning this. But first, let me demonstrate an invitation. Go here, input an email. There you go. This won't change until the user, which is the patient, agrees to it. But for now, let's assign a routine to this account using which would be best. Let's go with, I believe I haven't assigned it this one. From there, you go to, let me log out. Let me sign back in. I believe this is the one I assigned. Yeah, I have it due from ascending or no, descending order. So the newest one should appear in the top. But let me demonstrate the invitation the user should see. Here in the top right, I get the notification that I have been invited by a doctor, which is test 3, as I have set the name. Click accept. From there, the user waits until the doctor assigns them a routine. From here, I log back into the doctor. Okay, once back into my account, I go to from the dashboard to the patient. I have it set where it would only display the email until accepted, which would eventually show the name and last name of the user. And then it shows active. Let me go back to an actual user to display the tracking of completion. Log out. Let's log back into an account. Let's go with this user. I should have assigned one to this one. Let me go back to another one. Let me go to this one. Select the plan they provided for me. Since I already have an existing plan, this would have to eventually erase the previous one. And setting the progress and duration or remaining time. Here you go. It's instantly updated using the shoulder mobility, using the 5 exercises provided. From here, you can click start. Once you start them, they're in progress. Once you completed them, click complete. And they update the progress bar of today, as well as the activity. You can check here. See as go down. I have the duration set to 8 weeks. Go for here, overall completion. Seeing as you completed 2 exercises out of the 5. Week 1, and it is Friday, so you can see this day to change. Well, this bar changing. I haven't added any features for the recent activities, seeing as I was backlogged with keeping track of this. Users can also create generative plans if they seek. I already had some preset here, pre-created with this account, as well as the library. I removed the demo data. But from here, let's say 40%, go back to the doctor account. This was using my personal email, I believe. Okay, once back into the users, the doctor account. From here goes patients. You can see the progress of the overall today. I do plan to expand upon this by showing their overall progress of the plan. So from the start to the end, how much they completed for that section, and not just a single day. I believe that's all I have to show for the sprint, the progress. Let me just expand upon that. From here, you can just see the exercises. The ad just takes you to the the AI recovery plan. I have to adjust that later. You can also just end up changing into another one if you so seek. Okay, that should end my demonstration for my completed work for Sprint 3.